Hello, everybody. Welcome to your EFL Championship Round 9 hot takes. That is 3-game week number 1 complete. Batch of games number 2 complete. We have reached international break number 2. Okay, yeah, there is one more game to go, but now is not the time to talk about the longest 90 minutes of my life in the East Anglian Derby this lunchtime. We've got to talk about Coventry going top of the league. Middlesbrough's unbeaten run comes to an end. QPR up into the top 6. How about that? How about Sheffield United losing again? 8 defeats out of 9 for the Blades. Get down there in the comments with your views on EFL Championship Round 9. And we've got to start with Coventry. We've got to give them their flowers. We have been sat here on these hot takes video across the output on the channel saying, who wants it? Who wants Championship Season 25-26? Who's going to go out there and stick their flag in the ground and say, we are going to take this one by the scruff of the neck? It appears right now, with this incredible week they've had, and with the end of Middlesbrough's unbeaten run and the swap at the top of the table, it appears that Coventry are the ones saying, it's us. Okay then, nobody else wants to go to the Premier League. We are going to do it. And I mean, what a week. You don't get better 3-game weeks than this. In fact, if anyone's got the data of a better output than across the week, a 3-0 win, a 4-0 win, and a 5-0 win in one of these Saturday midweek, Saturday quick run of games, then do let me know. That's incredible. Maybe Fulham under Marco Silva with Mitrovic and Wilson. Someone look it up. I'm sure they probably did a 5-0, 5-0, 6-0 or something, didn't they? But hey, that's not the point. Coventry have had an incredible week, haven't they? Beaten Birmingham last weekend. Seems a long time ago, doesn't it? Then the 4-0 at Millwall, 5-0 at Sheffield Wednesday. And across the 9 games, actually, they're averaging 3 goals a game. Remember, they had the 7 and the 5 in short order, didn't they, early in the season? So Coventry are smashing the points on the table. They've gone over the 2 points per game now. That's happened this week. 19 from 9. They're undefeated and they're up at the top with a 3-point cushion down to 3rd place. Brilliant stuff. They've also got 3 of the 5 top scorers in the division as well, with Torp and Thomas Asante and Hadji Wright out there up front there on his own with 8. What more can you say? It's a tick in every box for Frank and Coventry. Not massive squad churn, was there, in the summer? We knew they'd been winning pretty much since Lampard came in November, I think, and they've just ridden it out. And, this is not damning with faint praise, but in the absence of nobody else, really, really going for it, Coventry are the ones at the moment. They are in fantastic form. And I don't want to spoil anything. We'll take a look at the Championship odds in the week, and I will say no more about that. But yeah, fair play, Coventry. I know some people will say, Sheffield Wednesday, but yeah, look at the bigger picture. Look at the 9 unbeaten. Look at all the goals that are going in. Look at the 9-point week, and yeah, you just got to give Coventry their flowers this week. There's no way around it. Wednesday, yeah. I mean, there's been a few awkward ones at Hillsborough already. A lot of Wednesday fans have said to me, Ben, we're not going to get any points at home this year. It's just too toxic. That's where the animus for Mr. Chansiri really comes out, and I get it. And we actually got the game stopped a couple of times for protesters coming on to the pitch. Remember, we're obviously just at the back end of another month, and there's been another issue with late payment of salary from Mr. Chansiri. And if points deductions do get dropped by the EFL, they tend to come in international breaks. So, yeah, watch that space as well. But just a bit of a horrible one for Sheffield Wednesday, and Coventry right at it. I know we've seen, I think Stoke turned up and won 3, didn't they? Bristol City also won by 3. And there was early goals in those games. And I don't think that's a coincidence when you've got a tricky stadium to play in. So there you go. Let's not focus on Wednesday. I have a hunch we're going to be talking about them a fair bit in the international break, if you can read between the lines in what I'm saying there. But yeah, enjoy being a Coventry fan if you're a Coventry fan at the moment. Just looking at the goal difference there. Plus 20 for Coventry. That'll do you. Won it after 9 games. Portsmouth 1, Middlesbrough 0 is kind of the other part of this story, because the overtake wouldn't have been made had Middlesbrough gone to Pompey and got the win, but they didn't. Yang with the goal in that one, and the Middlesbrough undefeated streak is over. I'm not going to say they'd been creaking, but it had been getting a bit trickier, hadn't it? That's 1 win in 5 now for the Boro. Look, I know the entire division had been drawing, but they'd had 3 draws in 4 before today, and you know, a drawing run can kind of transmit into an unbeaten run if you tack wins on the end of it. But as soon as defeat goes in, then the likes of me are saying, 1 win in 5. That's the deal, isn't it? Only 1 goal in 3 as well, which is problematic and plays into the narratives, which did get a little bit cleared up in round 9. I was getting quite fed up in midweek when we got to a point if there'd been 16 draws in 25 games in the Championship over 2 rounds and the opening game with Wrexham and Birmingham as well. But maybe that's going to change a little bit now going into the next batch of games. Fair play to the Boro fans, because there's been a lot of travel, haven't they? They've gone down to Southampton last weekend, and Pompey this weekend obviously played at home in midweek, didn't they? That draw was Stoke, I think, was a 0-0. I think they've had a great start, Boro. They've done 2 batches of games and they've got 2 points per game. They're at 18 points. It's 6 games in the next batch. So I guess, can they keep this up and get to 30 points at the end of the next run, which takes us to the middle of November? It's a quick bang, 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 week off, bang, 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 and then you're at another international break. So that'll be the target, I'm sure, for Rob Edwards. But yeah, a bit of time to regroup. But yeah, Portsmouth, this was more like the Fratton Park of last season. I know they'd had the win against Preston there, but this is really good by Pompey. They pick up their 3rd win of the season. There's quite a few teams there, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th. That entire batch of teams has all got won 3, drawn 3, lost 3 out of their 9-game batch so far. So, yeah, Yang is turning up now, isn't he, on the wing? We weren't kind of mentioning him when we were looking at the front 4 options for Pompey and it being exciting with Segacic and Chaplin and Bishop and Murphy and etc., etc. But he's got the opening goal in back-to-back games, hasn't he, Yang? So that's looking good. Low margin game. First win in 6 for Pompey. So really, really good way for them to go into international break number 2. It's their first win in 6 as well. So they're in that middle batch where, frankly, I think they'll be fine with that. They'll hope to stay, and given it was a season of struggle and just get away from the bottom last year, shows the improvement at Pompey and shows the improvement. Look, they were able to beat top teams at Fratton in the back end of last season, weren't they? And they are doing it again. We go Swansea 1, Leicester 3. Good result for Leicester, this one. I fancied Swansea in this. I thought they were coming into the game looking pretty good after winning in midweek at Blackburn, and goal scorers in good nick. But yeah, Leicester, this is what we, talking about Boro, you go from a kind of draw-heavy streak and stick a defeat on the end. Leicester have done the other thing where they've drawn 4 straight games and you stick a win on the end of that. And I'm sat here going 7 unbeaten for Martí Cifuentes and Leicester. And if it is a pragmatic league, this Cifuentes and Leicester is the one of the parachute teams that is managing it well at the moment. I mean, go figure. I know Ipswich haven't played yet, but I'm looking at a table where where is Southampton in there? 16th at the moment. Ipswich 17th, and Sheffield United 24th. So they're miles above the rest of those and managing it a lot better with just that one defeat at Preston so far. Leicester. And you've got to say, it's just the quality, isn't it? James and Fatawu does it again, that same goal off the right-hand side, swinging it in the top corner. They actually look very steady and very stable already. You kind of know what Cifuentes is gonna put out roughly, don't you? You know the system, you know the majority of the team, what he's going to try and do. And I think I know there's probably a business plan in the background with the EFL, but maybe that transfer window being a little less churny and a little less chaotic than a lot of other clubs in the Championship, and certainly the other parachute teams, is serving Leicester well now. Will it serve them well later in the season? We will find out. But if you got Fatawu, you got a chance. Genuine cheat code there. Swansea, tough end that to a decent week, I suppose. We'll probably get some Swansea fans in the comments who'll go, fine. You hold your hands up when you concede those couple of goals. You're in the game for the most part. And I think they're doing all right, Swansea. And I think it could be a good season. I just got a hunch about this. So, yeah, I'll try and stay positive there. Swansea, even though they've ended the 3-game week there with a defeat. Got to be positive about Preston North End. They're 4th in the table. What an outstanding start. 5 unbeaten as well. They've got 11 points at home, Preston. I mean, they've got 16 in total, so they haven't done terribly away from home, but they are very, very good at home, aren't they? And it was Preston 2, Charlton 0. Thierry Small typically scores and celebrates the goal. I sometimes hear these players can't win with me, can they? I get very cross when players don't celebrate goals. It's like, come on, it's all right. You know, you transferred between this club and this club. We're all adults. We get it. Celebrate the goal. It's fine. We'll forgive you. But Small went for it. Maybe he'd been getting a bit of grief from the Charlton end. Let's just say Jefferson gets the second. Lovely assist by Devine. You know when you're watching a counter-attack kind of build up and you're like, right, if he puts that exactly there, and that's the only place he can put it as he slides it across, keeper can't come, defender can't get it, but striker can. Perfect assist. That one, not the best assist we're going to talk about. We have to go to Ashton Gate for that one this week, but a great assist in that game. And this is a really, really good managerial performance by Paul Heckingbottom, isn't it? Lots of people had the trend continuing for Preston. It's a downward trend towards the end of last season, and just flipped it right on the head. The results have gone from being very bad to being very good, just like that, from one season ending to another one beginning. So yeah, very, very good Preston. And who wants to go there at the moment and take on Preston at Deepdale? Maybe Coventry. Haven't Coventry been there already? I can't remember. Maybe they have already. I could be wrong about that. Charlton, I mean, you can run the tight, fine margins argument, which Nathan Jones did in the post-match, didn't he? I think they've still started really well. You do get this nagging feeling with Charlton, even across this week, of could have had more, don't you? They're sat there in 12th amongst those teams with 3 wins, 3 draws and 3 defeats. They've even got a neutral goal difference. Like, actually, to be fair, Swansea and Watford have also got that kind of right in the middle type record. But yeah, I did Charlton in midweek and they led at Derby. And, you know, we've mentioned the Millwall game we covered, the game against Leicester, where you do feel they could just have 13, 14 points now rather than 12, 15 points. I don't know. It feels a little bit like that. But we've run this narrative as well. If you'd said Charlton, if you'd have said to Charlton fans, you'll be the highest of the 3 promoted teams of Birmingham, Wrexham and Charlton, they would have definitely taken that as a gamble to start the season, wouldn't they? So, yeah, I don't think all's bad at Charlton. But, yeah, Preston have just got it at the moment, particularly at Deepdale. Get your thoughts in there. Sheffield Wednesday 0, Coventry 5. Pompey 1, Middlesbrough 0, Swans 1, Leicester 3, Preston 2, Charlton 0. And we go on to Stoke, who are a little bit slippy there. They were up there with Middlesbrough, weren't they, in that kind of top 2 picture for the last few weeks. But yeah, Coventry and Leicester and Preston have all snuck above Stoke, who are currently in 5th. They drew 1-1 at Blackburn. No win in 4. And it is so Mark Robins low margin, isn't it? This is their last games here, this. Lost 1-0, won 1-0, lost 1-0, drew 1-1, drew 0-0, drew 1-1. Nobody has scored over a goal in any of those last 6 Stoke games. And, I mean, they got in front in this one, didn't they, with Manhurf, who I think always scores at Blackburn, according to the commentary I heard, but they couldn't quite see it out. Robbins is still very positive, and he's riding that idea that this is a new Stoke. But yeah, we don't want this good start in terms of those Stoke fans to kind of peter out, and other teams to start get going and moving above them. And yeah, stands to reason for me to say they need a win. And in fact, it's been a batch of 4 games, hasn't it? Or has it been 5 games? No, I think it's been a batch of 5 games, hasn't it? So, yeah, forget that. They have won at the start of this particular batch against Birmingham, or did they end the last round? I can't quite remember. I'm getting in a bit of a muddle here. But, look, they need to go into the next one and get things moving again. You know that. Blackburn avoid the 0-point week. They were the only team. We had it where Coventry were the only ones that could do a 9-point week, and Blackburn were the only ones that could do a 0-point week. But they avoided it with their first draw. And in the overdrawing laden championship, they were my heroes, Blackburn. They were the only ones that hadn't drawn in the first 9 rounds up until this one. But yet, look, they managed to drag it out. It doesn't feel amazing at Blackburn. I know they got that game in hand. I know they feel a bit wounded by that abandonment thing in the game against Ipswich. They're 1 point above the bottom 3 there. They do, of course, have that game in hand. And yeah, let's hope for a better batch in the next run for Rovers. Bristol City 1, QPR 2. So, if you use a 6-game sample size, I think QPR might well be the best team in the division after this 2-1 win at Ashton Gate. 14 points in 6. That is 4 wins and 2 draws. They are very, very much in form. And you mustn't forget that all came off the back of that 7-1 defeat at Coventry. Absolutely incredible. Come from behind in this one. I covered QPR in midweek, and it was an awful game. It was 0-0 against Oxford. And maybe now at the end of the week, when they've stuck the win on it, you can say, oh, it's just classic 3-game week. That middle one can be a tough watch and a tough, task for the teams in it. But Kone does it again. We've been talking about him a lot as a big feature. That's his 4th for the season already. Great header by Smith as well for the winner, guiding that into the corner. And yeah, it just looks like another good managerial hire with Stefan now, after Cifuentes was clearly a good one and he's gone on. He's, if the world stopped now, it would be QPR versus Leicester in the playoffs, and Cifuentes would face his old team. So, you can see where he's functioning in the division as well. And I think they've had quite a good transfer window. It's gone from sort of nothing happening and just a couple of contracts being signed to, people like Vale and Kone and the return of Saito, sort of working out quite well, isn't it? So, more power to Stefan and QPR. Bristol City, I don't know, it feels like that's faded a little bit already. We were all hyped up. I mean, it couldn't have been a better start, could it? They won 4-1 away on opening day, didn't they? Bristol City, and you're like, oh, okay, it's just going to click straight away. Manning ball to Struber ball at Ashton Gate. No wins in 4 now for City. 2 points across the 3-game week. And they had back-to-back homes as well. Led against Ipswich, led against QPR, and they come out with 1 point from those 2 games. Be really, really disappointed about it. One thing, not that you'll care because it's a defeat, I mentioned the best assist you'll see. Borges for the goal by Emil Rees. What an assist that was. Ball's kind of, you're like, can he keep that in play? Yeah. And he volleys it back straight in for an easy header into goal. You're still thinking about the bad news, Bristol City fans, aren't you? And the no wins in 4. But yeah, I thought it was a beautiful assist. That one. Millwall 3, West Brom 0. I mean, how about that? Back-to-back home games in the 3-game week. You lose one of them 4-0 to Coventry. You win the next one 3-0. And West Brom, they won away at Norwich in midweek and get taken to school a bit here. I think from the West Brom point of view, there was, I spoke to a lot of Norwich journalists this week, put it that way, and said Norwich didn't actually play that badly in that game and West Brom kind of pinched it. But anyway, let's talk about Millwall. They kind of saved their week with this because felt a little bit like they snatched it at Swansea earlier in the week, and 4-0 at home is 4-0 at home at any point. And yeah, I'll be really pleased to finish the batch of games going to the international break in this manner. Jake Cooper. Every championship season I expect to be talking about Jake Cooper scoring from a set piece. And there you go, he's ticked that one off for me. Maybe we just need to wheel him out at the start of every season now until the end of time, and he has to just score a goal from a set piece from Millwall. What a servant that guy has been. A couple of great goals in this one by Aziz and Sturge. I know Aziz might get the headlines with that goal. He's a bit further out and he bends it into the top corner. But watch Sturge's goal build up. Watch him. You know when you get a sense where someone's coming from fullback and you're like, oh, he's got the afterburners on. If they can work this, no one's going to be able to track that run because he's just kind of going too fast and got the bit between his teeth. And I also love it when a fullback gets in the box and they're like, right, I'm in a great position. Who do I cross it to? I think I better have a shot. Just larrup it in the roof of the net. Tremendous finishing for those couple of Millwall goals. Bit hotchy-potchy again. They're not quite in fact, they're better than the 1-3, drawn 3, lost 3 lot because they've got 4 wins already, Millwall. So they're in their kind of spiritual home of 8th place there, Millwall. Probably take it. That snuck up on me a little bit. There you go. Maybe, well, you tell me, Millwall fans, if you're happy with that one. West Brom dropped out of the top 6. 3 defeats in 5. Listen to Ryan Mason doing the prep. Pretty scathing, to be honest. He's a new manager. He's very honest. He's got that... I think you have that thing when you're fairly new into the job where you can be a bit more honest and you don't have this long narrative arc where you might have to be protecting your own brand for what's happening next and, defending things. I think, in terms of the fan base, I think you can go out and you can say what he said, which was, oh, we deserve nothing. We didn't play well. They did this, and this better than us. So, yeah, that was Manning's assessment. And although the West Brom fans might find it refreshing in terms of the honesty, they'll also be thinking, okay, Ryan, next game, can the opponent not do this, and this better than us? And we can get some more wins on the board. But yeah, like maybe Bristol City and a little bit Stoke, maybe these early kind of form sides just drop in towards the edges of the playoff spots there, and West Brom are one of them. They are out of the top 6. 3-game weeks, we always look at 6 points as being good, anything above 6 points being excellent, and 9 points being, the holy grail. Watford 2, Oxford 1 means Watford have a 7-point week. How about that? And this is all in the backdrop of people telling me, Ben, this Watford manager, he's not going to last 5 minutes here. The players aren't having him. The fans aren't having him. They've gone behind in games. I think they went behind in all 3 of the games this week, Watford. We had Iran Kunda being subbed off at Pompey in midweek and, storming down the tunnel and all of that. And I think boos at half-time in the game to start the week as well. Was it Preston they beat at the start of the week? But they've come out of it with 2 wins and 7 points. And yeah, crisis. What crisis? It's just bonkers. Watford at the moment. And Gakia as well. I think he had about 1 career goal before this. He scores a bizarre kind of double just before half-time. And again, it's just weird. Watford at the moment went behind early to an own goal. And I don't know, if those 2 goals hadn't gone in, is it going to be booing at half-time again at the Vic and you don't know what you're doing for Petzolano? And then the fullback scores twice in kind of 45 and 45 plus 4. You can see I'm struggling to get my head around this because I was kind of lined up to think, if Watford had a bad week, Potsos, players, manager, fans, manager, not happening. They're going to change manager in the graveyard of the October international break? Surely they can't after a 7-point week. I don't know. Can you make head nor hide of Watford? Tell me in the comments. Oxford are in the bottom 3. They're really struggling to get going this season, aren't they? And, maybe I'm simplifying it overly a little bit here, but when I think of Oxford doing well last year, I think of home wins and I think of clean sheets. I think of 1-0. It's just not happening. 1 clean sheet this season. It's a 1-point week. Only 1 goal this week, and it was an own goal as well. And it's not like with Lancashire and Prelec and the winger whose name I've forgotten, they've bought in players in terms of getting those goals, but it's just not kind of happening yet. And the difficulty I've got here with Oxford is I'm looking at the bottom 3, and you would still think, even with last year's Luton aberration, that Sheffield United will, gradually move their way up and out of that bottom 3. Okay, Sheffield Wednesday are going to have a hard time with what's going on there. And then you kind of, I've got to ask the question, Oxford fans, who are they finishing above? And it's like, okay, pick another 2 teams out of that. And it's tricky at the moment. But you would trust Gary Rowett if there's anyone to kind of get him out of there and maybe revert to that slightly more, nosebleed football and just get it up and away from the goals, get Hellick on the end of the set plays, get those clean sheets, grab the goals. Not quite working at the moment, given the 1 win in 9 start to the season for Gary and Oxford. There you go. Let me know your thoughts on any of that block. Blackburn 1, Stoke 1, Bristol City 1, QPR 2. Millwall 3, West Brom 0, Watford 2, Oxford 1. Final page, and these are the 2 games up there I did as watch-alongs this week. By the way, thank you to all the gorgeous, wonderful, brilliant, amazing people that joined me for watch-alongs on Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday and Saturday this week. You'll forgive me sitting in a dark room today and not doing a watch-along for Ipswich versus Norwich. But yeah, Hull 1, Sheffield United 0. I mean, I suppose the big headline is Sheffield United lose a game, but let's give Hull some props. Bit of a odd game, I have to say. It's not like Hull went in there and did a real number and shut down Sheffield United and grabbed the goal. It's a bit of a strange deflected goal. The shot's probably going over the bar and then it kind of flips off someone's back, I think, and goes in the corner from David. You would have expected it to be McBurney, given his allegiances to Sheffield United as a former player there and the amazing form he's been in. He could have got a second in the second half. We had Gus Harmer hit the post. I don't know, just a bit of a weird hotchy-potchy game. And then, of course, Sheffield United miss a penalty at the end there. Harrison Burrows doesn't quite, he doesn't quite hit. There was a bit scuffy penalty, wasn't it? So Hull get the job done, but it is lose, draw, win in the last 6. So it's a little bit all over the place for Hull. But they have, I was going to say they have beaten 2 parachute teams and drawn with Coventry. However, they have lost to Watford and Blackburn as well. So it's just all a bit confusing for Hull. But I don't know, will they take 14th at the moment, given the rumours at the start of the season about Mr. Illa and, disaster with embargoes and finances and all of that? Maybe the Hull fans would. Sheffield United, I mean, wow. They're not going to take 24th, are they? 8 defeats in 9. And it's now 3 defeats in 4 for Chris Wilder. Again, like I say, it was a peculiar game that no one really had control of, not even Hull or Sheffield United at large points, and you can say across the entirety of the game. When you get a penalty a couple of minutes from the end, you expect to come away with something, but they've lost the game again. Wilder's got to manage it carefully because he's got to get them moving. I mean, he's got the obvious narrative he can palm off to everyone when he can say, "Oh well, we've inherited a mess, and it's a bigger mess than we thought it was." But this is also Wilder, who was taking them to 92 points on pitch just a few months ago. So it wasn't that big a mess. I know a lot changed, and it does feel psychologically a lot has happened to these players because they just can't get through a game now, can they? And it's only Oxford they've managed to beat. And yeah, maybe 2 weeks, international break, new batch of games. Maybe they'll slam on a load of points, 10, 12 points in the next 6-game batch, and all will be well. But they've not turned it yet. Not only have they not turned it, it's still going in the same direction. And 8 defeats from 9 is just a horrific place for Sheffield United to be. It was Wrexham 1, Birmingham 1 on Friday night. A little bit stormy, little bit windy over there in Wales as the kind of weather settled in for the weekend. Am I allowed to call it the Disney Hollywood Mega Paramount Super Ultra Bowl Derby? I don't know. I'm having a bit of fun with it, Wrexham and Birmingham fans. But these two sides are just linked at the moment after last season, and with their ownerships there from US shores, and really going for it. And I was a bit worried about Birmingham in this game. You're thinking at half-time particularly, Birmingham haven't been that good in the first half. Wrexham had the lead through that set play goal. Dobson headering it in. And I was wondering whether I was going to be sat here talking about Birmingham not making chances and whatnot. And you wonder, not wanting to get stuck in narratives that never happened, but you wonder whether this might actually end up being a turning point for Chris Davis, that goal by Pat Roberts straight after half-time. Because this could have been a really bad week for Birmingham. What if they hadn't scored in the 99th minute against Sheffield Wednesday in midweek? And what if they'd gone under here? It could have been a 0-point week for Birmingham if they hadn't have had those two things. No, if, buts and maybes. They did. And they got draws from both of those games and showed resilience there. But yeah, it could have gone differently. And I think it's fairly obvious to say for Birmingham, they're just not quite where they want to be, are they? And it's a bit of a troll at the moment getting points, and they're really struggling to get wins. And the wins they've got have been sort of a couple of them very late in games, and the other ones against Oxford with their only shot on target. So it's not clicked yet for sure for Birmingham. Wrexham, 1 loss in 9 in all competitions, 3 straight draws. Basically, if Wrexham can start winning a couple of home games, they're looking all right now. And I've said since the busy summer for Wrexham now, you put Hyam into the team, Okonkwo's come in goal, Kabore looks good at fullback, O'Brien looks really good, Broadhead's now looking like he's fit with the missed Broadhead and Windass at times as well, with Kiefer Moore up top. Feels like we're getting the Wrexham now that they wanted. And I think they're going to be all right, Wrexham. I think they'll probably trend up, but yeah, maybe both sides will go, okay, fine, 1-1, move on. Let's nobody lose, and we'll get out of here. But yeah, massive scrutiny and eyes on these two, of course, as there is going to be all season. One more to go, and it was Derby 1, Southampton 1. Saints 5-point week, including 2 aways and loads of travel as well, including that Liverpool game in the EFL Cup. I don't know. Will they be happy with that? I haven't listened to Will still yet, so I'll be interested to see what he's got to say. Adam Armstrong looks busy, even though he missed a penny. Looks like he's in places, getting chances, scoring chances, missing chances. Looks like if he does that all season, he's going to score quite a lot of goals. Has Ross Stewart got injured again? I'll be so disappointed for him, because it had been like they'd worked him back really gently, really methodically. He scored those 2 goals. He's back, Ross Stewart, in midweek in the win at Sheffield United, and he's come out of this game injured again. I hope he's all right and it's nothing too bad there. That'd be really bad news for him and for Southampton there. 1 loss in 6 in the EFL. Is the trend up for Southampton? I don't know. Possibly. Is 16th good enough for Southampton? No, absolutely not for a year 1 parachute team. Will they come strong in the next batch of games? Maybe. I'm not certain. I don't know. We'll find out. A bit up in the air with Southampton. I think I know a little bit more about Derby. It feels they're like, you know, when your car's gone down and you're just trying to get that engine going, and you know, you're kind of shaking the steering wheel and really revving the throttle to try and get it going. That feels like Derby this season. 3 straight draws to go through the week, all 1-1s as well. And I think we read this out for Stoke, didn't we? Derby's very similar. 1-1-0, lost 1-0, 1-1, 1-1, 1-1. All very low margin. Probably a little bit frustrating for the Derby fans to watch, because it's not quite moving yet. I still think it will. I like Eustace. I still think you can argue that players who've been signed need to integrate properly. And Aguiman bullying in his first goal after Armstrong scored for Southampton is good news. Their players coming back from injury. I do think it will move for Derby, but I don't know, it does feel a bit of a slog at the moment, to the point that they need to get to. But one thing Eustace will always do is make you hard to beat, and they're not losing games. They're not in the bottom 3. And I think if you accentuate the kind of fact, what am I looking at there for Derby? I can only see 1 defeat in the last 5. I don't know if it goes back any further than that, but they're not losing games, and just needs the odd, you know what it would be like, nice clean sheet win from Eustace and Derby, and things will progress as we would imagine. There you go. That is 11 of the games. I'll point to that Ipswich Town badge, because it's Ipswich versus Norwich this lunchtime in the East Anglian derby to round out properly the 3-game week, batch 2 of the games, and take us to international break. And I will be on Blue Monday to talk about that and not watching along. So there you go. We ticked off rounds 1 to 4. We've ticked off rounds 5 to 9. We have now got coming up a very quick, especially if your team is in the EFL Cup. You are literally going to go weekend, midweek, weekend, midweek, weekend, midweek, weekend, done, international break again. If you're just playing championship games, it'll be 3-game week, and then you'll go Saturday to Saturday, or, you know, if there's a Friday or a Sunday in there, you know what I mean. 3-game week, and then we're out again. So it'll be a real quick batch to take us through games 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 is where we will be by the next international break. That is 32% of the season down. We will nearly be, a third of the way through there. And, the target, the 2-point per game target, will be at 30 points there, obviously, at round 15. So it's going to be revealing. It's a proper, we said we haven't had a 3-game week yet. You're basically now about to get another 2 right. Not quite on top of each other, but certainly the way managers stack up these games and prepare for them, it's essentially 3-game week, 3-game week, international break, sprint break, long break. So we'll see where we land. Coventry are definitely the big story now with their run. Top 6 looks interesting. You've still got Preston, Stoke, QPR up there, and you've still got the likes of Southampton and Ipswich, Sheffield United, the other parachute teams down the table. Much fancied Wrexham and Birmingham down there in the bottom half. So it's still a thoroughly, interestingly, topsy-turvy, bonkersly championship table at the moment. Get your thoughts in via the comments. We'll be back with the normal kind of international break stuff. Maybe we'll revisit the predictions and whatnot. And we will have an East Anglian derby to talk about as well. Next time you see me, thank you for watching. Get down there in the comments with your views. And as I've said many times this week, Ipswich, please win today.